section, you will add a view to create a new daily Scrum. The edit view you already created has all the controls and data you need. So I guess what we do is we reuse that in another opening from another context. You will add a button to the Scrum view that presents a user with the edit view. Okay, just to create Scrum. After the create a Scrum, the app will add a new Scrum to okay. Okay, I get it now. Yeah, I'm remembering where we left it. So right now we have these Scrums already and we can edit them, but now we're gonna be able to add a new one. So basically this button that doesn't do anything yet. Cool. The Scrum's array is declared as a binding and the source of truth is stored in the app. Then Scrum array, new element, perfect, cool. So let's get started. We need to go to the Scrum view, which should be here. Scrum view, there you go. Let's put this here. Let's start engaging the preview system because it needs some time to warm up. We know how Xcode goes. And so we add a state. Yes, fair enough, because we want to present a new screen. So we need to add the state for this. And then, yeah, typical, this thing is this, what we were talking, that you get used to, like you develop this muscle memory, you know. This is typical SwiftUI. You just declare a state that drives the presentation of one of your views, and then you use sheet or presentation or other means for presenting it, you know, but everything is driven from the state, which is super useful and super cool. And then, yeah, we do this thing where we create a default. Basically, it's basically when you start this screen, you will need to provide some data to that screen, and that data that you provide needs to be a binding. So when that screen changes it, you get the update back. For that, it means you need to give it something that it's kind of like in a default state with an empty state or something like that. So that's what we are doing here. We declare this, and this is it's going to be the source of truth. So any changes after this are going to be there, which also means that you need to remember to reset it at some point, which is also a detail that you cannot forget. And then, yeah, so we go here and we just create a navigation view, and that navigation view needs something as a on UIKit we will call it like the root view controller. In this case it's just like the content view, so that's what we need to pass here. And again, as we can see, we pass the new Scrum data as a binding to that state property, so it can be updated when this screen changes the data. It's going to be actually changing data that we have on this screen because that's the source of truth. And now we need to add, where are we here? Trailing, yeah, so this action we actually need to is presented to true. I think that's enough, right? Exactly. Presented to true, and that will, you click here, you change the state of this, which in turn triggers this. Pretty self-explanatory once you get used to how presentation works in SwiftUI. And then in the same way you have navigation bar items in this screen, we need to do the same on the edit view screen, because we remember that the edit view screen is something we already use, like I can show you here. It's this screen, so we kind of now need to give different bar button items. So instead of a navigation link, we are using a sheet. So the point is that when you present something on iOS, it's not actually giving it any buttons on the navigation bar. So that's what we need to do here. And they are quite simple for now. I think they are just closing it and opening, so nothing else. And to be honest, like I just want to try it first. So we go here and we click plus, and we can see the presenting, and we can dismiss, and we can add, and both things do the same thing right now. We haven't still set any code here to actually change the state. So now the whole point of this is that this new data is going to be changing, but we need to add that into the array. That doesn't happen automatically because, again, this state is just floating here on this view, but it has no relationship whatsoever with the the scrams, which is the array that it's held on the app. We can literally just go here, and on the add, before this missing, we can present this. And let's give it a quick format. It's kind of weird, this formatting. I kind of prefer always to do this. Seems way more readable to me. You know, this is always more readable, and it makes sure that it fits on pretty much all the screens. I prefer it way more. And then we just need to append it to the array. And because the array is already a binding, it's gonna be updating the original source of truth, which is on the app. So it's this array of scrums. So that's gonna happen automatically. We don't have to do anything for that. So we can just reach into the scrums and we can just append the new scrum. And that should be everything, right? Yeah, there you go, new scrum. And now if we build and run, we can see how we can add this. We can give it a title, new scrum, make it 30 minutes because we know that all the scrum meetings are really slow, and change the color to nice green. And attendees, we can say Alex, and we can say Paco. And if we add this, bam, there we have it. Automatically, we updated the local binding for the array, and that automatically changed the actual source of truth which lives in the app. Perfect, that was easy. Add Scram History. When a meeting is over, the meeting view will record the meeting date, duration, and attendees. In this section, you will add a story element to the Scram. Then you will update the detail view to display a list of the story. Of the history. Similar to the edit view above, the detail view has a binding to an array of the list scrams. Yeah, like we already saw in the previous tutorial that everything is passed around as binding, so you really are always updating one source of truth with lives in the app, always. So we go on meeting view, and here we create a history and insert it into the Scrum. Okay. So when we stop the Scrum, we now want to add it to the history. So this is when we stop the Scrum, we want to add it into the history. Okay, that's cool. Let me just, in case I have to come here and read it before we switch to the new project, because we're switching projects every time. So then when we add a section in the history header, so how does this look? Ah, yeah, okay, fair enough. So we're going back to the detail view, and we basically add a section with a header that is a text, and we say history, and now we open the section and we can add more things here. Okay, so we add this, which is, it's super, like, I know I keep saying it's super cool, it's super nice, but you need to remember that for people that have used UIKit for so many years, you know, when you can do things like this, where, remember, we're making a list, so we're making like a table view or a collection view, whatever it is, and then just by doing this, you are dynamically changing the behavior without having to change things on section for row, cell for row, height for row, and all that stuff. It's easy to forget how we used to do things when you're giving such a nice tools and you use them quite a lot. It's very easy to forget how things, what the pain you had to go through to do simple things. So yeah, that's why I keep saying everything is super cool, I'm so excited. It's like, yeah, I'm not really faking it. It's really, like when I see this, especially because I still write UIKit code. That's when you feel the excitement of SwiftUI. And here again, I'm just copy pasting this because there is not much to do here just to follow this, you know. So we're adding the calendar icon, but it's something we already done before, you know. Although this is cool, we can see here, which is one of the additions. I think that it came with kind of like what people likes to call SwiftUI 2, which I hate it because it's not 2, it's just the SwiftUI version that came with iOS 14. You know, like frameworks are not versioned in that way on Apple platforms. But they added this nice way where you can just pass a style into the text and it automatically formats it appropriately based on the context and everything. And there is even some styles that automatically update the text for it. Like you can give it like a time and it automatically updates the state and stuff like that. It's pretty cool, to be honest. It's very nice. I'm not sure, I haven't used it that much, so I cannot tell you how if it's flexible enough, you know, but it's pretty nice. So we see here that we don't have any meetings yet on the preview. That now if we, again, remember, there is no persistence, so I will have to add this, but now you have no meetings yet. We can start the meeting. This goes, we skip, and the last speaker. And if we close this, now we see the story of the meeting. And we can do it again. We skip, we go back, and we see another one. So you can see how we're keeping the history basically by just getting the state, saving it, and that's it, pretty much. It's super easy. And that's it. So we can check our understanding. Let's see if we learn something new today. Which views use a source of truth stored in a parent view? Okay. This obviously not, because it's declared here. This not, because it's a state. Again, state is always local. It's of course a binding, because a binding is something that you are given and that you can change, updating the parent. So there you go. Which view displays the date formatted using the current locale? Date, this is not a thing. You cannot create, as far as I know. I mean, you could I guess you could extend date to make it a SwiftUI view, because again, a SwiftUI view is just a protocol. So you could actually extend date and conform it to view. Man, that's so... it's a bad advice. Don't do that. But you could. I think there shouldn't be a problem. So it's not this one, of course. Then you have a text and a text. This is localized string. No, thank you. And it's this one. It's what we just used. I was just talking that you can pass a style into the data. Perfect. And finally, how should you declare the name property in name view? How should you declare the name property in name view? Say what? In name view, it's the children. So yeah, okay. So how you need to declare the property inside this view, so we can actually give you a binding to a local one I have. I mean, this one. Because this doesn't have anything to do with SwiftUI. Just a property. So not much will happen. This one, again, you're declaring local state. No interaction with the outside world, basically. It's this one where you're declaring, okay, give me a binding from the outside so I can update you when I change it. There you go. And that's it. That was kind of short, but we added a lot of functionality, super useful and super easy. So the next one is about persisting the data. So when we add a new Scram, a new meeting, we can store it and recover it when we open the app next. So let's take a look.